Hi guys, I'm Sydney and today we are going to be going through some of the steps that I take before going out for a shoot, going out and taking photos of mostly birds. I'll also be sharing some of the tips that I've learned while shooting birds, like in regards to the settings, and also some of the social etiquette, ways you can respect people around you and the wildlife. You can find all my work on Instagram too, all of my photos of birds. I also do like squirrels. Sometimes I've got photos of muntjacs. It all just depends on where I am and whether it's the right time. So yeah, if you want to check out any of my work, it'll also be put on screen here as well. But yeah, let's get on with the video. As photographers, we need to prepare for the weather. Now, I'm typically out for a shoot for about 5 hours. So I'll typically, I'll look at the weather. I'll guess usually how warm I need to be or how cool I need to be. Typically, I'll just be wearing what I'm wearing now. I won't even bother taking a coat because sometimes it's just really hard to use a camera and a coat. But usually it's like leggings or cargos, a shirt and hoodie, and maybe an extra hoodie if I need one. During the winter, if you can't really guess what it's going to do, I'll also usually just bring a bag, pack some waterproofs. For equipment, I'm using this lovely equipment. I've got the 150-600mm contemporary lens by Sigma. I've got the Canon M50 Mark II and the EF to EOS M adapter by Viltrox. Now with the adapter, I've noticed that the screws become loose very easily. So this is why I don't usually wear this around my neck if I'm using this lens. I'll typically hold it with this. But just before a shoot, I will just check if all of the screws are in right. As long as my camera can connect properly to the lens, then I'm all set. After that, I check my batteries in my SD card. I have 5 batteries, though I usually bring 3 fully charged batteries. That usually lasts me. If I'm going out for an entire day, I'll bring all 5, but I typically don't actually need more than 4. And for my SD card, I'll just make sure that everything's uploaded to my computer from the last shoot and just clear it, because you never know how many photos you're actually going to take. It could be 10, it could be over 5,000, which I almost have done in a few times. This is my SD card. It carries around 128 gigabytes, which usually lasts me a couple of shoots, just in case I do forget to clear it. But typically I will just wipe my entire camera just in case. When you're shooting in RAW as well, like I do, which I'll do another video on that at some point, it's better to have as much space as possible. RAW files are very heavy and you can never be too safe. When photographing birds perched on a branch, for example, there's no reason for you to have your shutter speed over 1/1600th. It's not moving really. It might move its head every now and then. I use continuous shooting, so there's no reason for me to use like 1/4000th of a second. That's just unnecessary. And for the aperture, you'll want a low aperture. Mine goes down to 5, though sometimes it only stays to 6.3. So that's just usually my default. Sometimes I'll go up to 7, depending on how large the bird is, but typically 6.3 is ideal. But some people have gone as low as 3 and it's worked out for them. So it's just what's best for you, how much of the background you want blurred. I'm going to leave the ISO talk for another day because that's a whole video even of itself. When it comes to photographing in-flight birds, I'll start with the larger birds. Large birds, you'll need quite a small shutter speed. I mean, the aperture typically stay the same. Sometimes you'll want to, for a buzzard, for example, or an osprey, they're quite large birds. So you might want to put it up to f11. Obviously, if it's just in the sky, it doesn't matter too much because it's not going to be blurred. So as long as you get the wingspan and the tip of the wings, then, you can jump up to f11 if you really want to. I've never had a problem under f7, between f7 and f5. Because of their large wing beats, they move fairly slow, so you don't really need to go over 1/1600th. However, I have gone as low as 1/640. Now for smaller birds, which can vanish literally in the blink of an eye, you'll want to put it quite high. I usually have succeeded at 1/2000th, but for some of them, especially, if they're very agile, like kingfishers, and you want to get them in motion, which I haven't even been able to do yet, you'll want to put it up fairly high, like 1/4000th, probably acceptable. With smaller birds, it depends on your reaction time as well. As long as you can quickly touch that shutter, then hopefully everything works out. It's going to take a lot of practice, but we're here for it. As for ethics of wildlife, you have to respect all of it. We are in their home at the end of the day, and I don't think anyone would like it if someone just barged into their home, took a photo and left. I've seen too many photographers intrude on the wildlife and then act shocked when it's spooked. It's their home, especially if it's a rare bird as well, you risk it not returning ever. So we have to make it feel welcome. The best thing that I can probably give you is just stay away from it. If you've got camouflage, perfect. But stay your distance and make sure you're not incredibly seen by it. Even if it's a confident bird, it could just switch. It could feel uncomfortable and you'll never see it again. I recently had that in Norfolk in the UK. There was a hoopoe in North Walsham and a load of photographers went there because we were all using the same app. And it eventually, the day that I went there, and there was about 15 other photographers, it was gone. It was just in someone's back garden. Everyone said how confident it was. And, you know, it's not supposed to be here anyway, but I have a feeling, and I've spoken to a lot of other photographers about this, that people getting so close to it, because it was just in someone's garden, and it's not the biggest garden, so everyone was very, very close to it. They didn't decide to keep their distance, they just wanted the shot. They cared about the shot rather than the hoopoe, the subject. The most respectful thing you can do is stay your distance and wait. Wait for it to come out, approach you, anything like that. This is why we always say as photographers that patience is one of the most crucial aspects, is because it's a long waiting game, but it's always worth it in the end. In regards to social etiquette in the hide, I will typically, as soon as I go in there, if there's someone already in there, I'll sit down, I'll open my hatch as quiet as possible and just ask the simple, have you seen anything interesting? That's probably the most respectful and easy way to gauge whether someone is up for a conversation. It's also a way, you know, if there's an uncommon or rare bird there, you'll know instantly, and it's always beneficial. You don't want to be slurping pot noodles in the hide. Don't bring food. I haven't seen anyone ever bring food into a hide, and I never do because it's just a bit too loud. I think the only time I did was when I was trying to photograph the white-tailed eagle in Micklemere, and I had been there from 8 o'clock, and I think I left at 8 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock in the evening, and I hadn't eaten, so my parents got me a Greggs. But even then, I was as quiet as possible, and I feel like everyone got fed up with me. Also, make sure you're not sipping drinks too much, or if you are, then just make sure it's quiet. Photography is my mental health time as well, so I don't personally like talking. I don't mind engaging with people if there's been a bird seen or if they're just asking me what's been seen, but I'm quite quiet in a hide, and I know a lot of people are also like that. So it just keeps it respectful on both ends, and no one leaves early because they got fed up of someone. If I see a rare bird in a hide, I'll typically just whisper it to myself. Like, for example, if I saw a gargany, I would go, oh, gargany. And that, you know, it's loud enough for them to hear it, but it's not loud enough that I will disturb anything around us. So yeah, these are my main pieces of advice. I know this video is short. Again, I'm trying to do longer videos, but I don't think it's going to work out for a while. We will get to a video that will be quite long, I'm sure. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. Thank you, everyone who has come from my Instagram. I know most of you have, but welcome anyone who's found me on suggested or anything like that, homepage as well. And if you have any more tips for photographing wildlife or etiquette regarding wildlife and socially, just put it in the comments. I'd be more than happy to hear all of your suggestions and thoughts, anything that I have missed out. Once again, you can find me on Instagram. You can find all of my work there. One of my favourites is this little one of a pied avocat, and also this one of a common kingfisher, which I got quite recently. And kingfishers are my favourite bird. I've even got a tattoo of them. I hope you have an incredible day, guys, and please stay respectful of the wildlife.